As you know, the world we live, there are many different kind of people, different animals, different culture, different beliefs. But basically that we are all human beings, we are all beings. And everyone wants to be free from suffering, and everyone wishes to achieve happiness. So for the sake of happiness that we do everything, good things, bad things, many things. And for the sake of happiness that every individual, every society, every country is making efforts to overcome the suffering and to achieve the happiness. And for the sake of this goal, that we made developments, especially during the last century, we made tremendous progress is made in the field of science and technology. And these, of course, have brought many good things, many positive results, such as many of the diseases that could not be cured. Nowadays, they can cure very easily. Many of the places that we can't travel before, now you can travel very easily. And communications, transportations, and many things so helpful, so many wonderful things have achieved. But then at the same time, just these outer material developments alone could not achieve the real peace and happiness that one is seeking. Moreover, that through these developments, unless and until we made some inner progress, inner spiritual progress, these outer material progress, whether it is positive or negative also, it is difficult to say. Although in many ways it's very positive, but also it can be used, if it is used in the wrong way, then of course many disastrous things can happen. And so therefore, we need to find the real inner peace and happiness. Just physical happiness, physical comfort is not enough. No matter how good, how luxury place you have, how luxury life that you lead, unless our inner mind is not happy, then it has no use. So therefore, that one have to find from the inner real peace, the peace that can last, happiness that can last forever. So therefore, how can we achieve this? That we can only achieve by making our own inner mental progress. And the mental progress, how we can make, and that is only through the spiritual advice and spiritual practice. The world we live, there are many different religions, and I personally believe that every major religions of the world, each one of them has its own beauties, its own way to help the mankind. The Buddha himself admits this, that the variety of spirituality is necessary, because Buddha himself also did not teach one kind of teaching. Buddha taught many different levels of spiritual path, because that one kind is not enough. For example, there's not one medicine that can cure all the disease. You need each different disease, you need different medicines. Not only different medicines, different methods of the different traditions, different medicinal traditions is necessary. For example, for certain disease, the allopathic medicine is very effective, whereas certain disease, the Ayurvedic medicine is more effective. For certain disease, the homeopathic medicine is more effective. So likewise, the spirituality also, I think the variety of, because we are all different, people have different tastes, different ideas, and different mentalities and so forth. So therefore, of course, there is necessary, different spiritual path is necessary. But I myself, as a Buddhist, from the Buddhist point of view, how to make our life more happy, more peaceful, is that the problems, the sufferings that we have different kinds of sufferings, physical suffering and the mental sufferings. The physical sufferings, there are many different methods. For example, when you have disease, you can take medicines. When you have other things, material health and so on. But for the mental, it's not just by taking medicines or giving other treatment or having good facilities will not help. The only way to help is to change our way of thinking, our way of our own mind, the way we think and the way we face. And so such way of thinking can help us very much. And so therefore, for this, I think the Buddhist teachings can help. His Holiness Dalai Lama always advises us. There are different categories: Buddhist religion and Buddhist philosophy and Buddhist science. Buddhist religion is only for the Buddhist people who have initiated, who have taken the vows and so on. But the Buddhist philosophy and Buddhist science, anybody to do that, to listen to that, to learn that, you don't have to become a Buddhist. Anybody, without becoming Buddhist, you can learn the Buddha's teachings and you can learn the Buddhist philosophy, and it will help. It will help to understand the life, the meaning of the life, and how to face the difficulties of our life. And so therefore, the Buddha, first thing, after attaining the enlightenment, the very first teaching that Buddha gave is the Four Noble Truths. And the Four Noble Truths is very important because the very first truth is the truth of suffering. Of course, we don't want suffering. We are practicing, we are making efforts to overcome suffering. But to overcome suffering, you need to know what is the nature of suffering. For example, when you are sick, the very first thing is you have to find out what is the sickness. So therefore, we go through the test. We do many different kinds of tests to find the exact nature of your sickness. If you can find exact nature of your sickness, then you can get the treatment. So similarly, we need to know the nature of the suffering. So therefore, the Buddha taught the truth of suffering and why we face as suffering. why we face sufferings in our lives. Physical sufferings, mental sufferings. And then when you know the exact nature of the illness, then you have to find out what is the cause of this suffering. Either it is a food or the way of life or any other causes. So similarly, the second truth is the truth of cause. What causes the suffering? And so the cause of suffering is the wrong views, the wrong way of life, the wrong contacts that causes all the sufferings. Normally, when we face the problems, we always tended to point the finger to the others and blame to somebody else. Due to this person that I suffer, due to this thing that I suffer. But actually, it is not from the outside. Actually, it comes from our own minds, our own negative emotions, such as like the desire, anger, jealousy, the pride, etc. And so therefore the Buddha taught the second truth, the truth of cause. And now when you find out the exact nature of your sickness and also the cause of sickness, then you wish to cure from the sickness. That is our goal. When we are sick, we wish to cure from the sickness. So for that, the Buddha taught the third truth, which is the truth of cessation. And the truth of cessation means where all the sufferings are totally ceased. To cease the suffering temporarily is not enough. You need to cease the sufferings as forever. So the truth of cessation is where all the forms of sufferings are totally ceased. Now to reach that goal, for example, to reach our common goal, for example, when we are sick, our goal is to cure from the disease. Now to cure from the disease, you need to take the medicine, you may need to take the treatment. And similarly, when you to reach the cessation, the truth of cessation, where you cease all the forms of the suffering, that you need to enter the path. So therefore, these are the Four Noble Truths which are basically the Buddha taught. The truth of suffering and the truth of cause and the truth of cessation and the truth of path. So the one is the cause, one is the result. One is the truth of cause causes the sufferings. The truth of path achieves the truth of cessation. And so therefore, in our everyday life, that we face many difficulties. And so when you do not have any kind of spiritual assistance, then the problems become very severe and unbearable, even the physical pains. But when you think in another way, different ways, then even though you are not completely cured, but the way of thinking can change, and it brings much lesser degrees of the suffering. And so one of the things is that Buddha said that all compound things are impermanent, which means that anything, or compound means things that the life that we encounter in everyday life, that we encounter many different feelings, many different kind of situation. All of this is not just happened accidentally. All of this is not happened without cause. All of this is not happened from the wrong cause. Each and everything has its own cause and its own conditions. For example, like to grow rice in the field, you need the rice seed. From the rice seed, the wheat will not grow, because wheat and rice are two different things. So to grow the rice, you need the rice seed and fertile ground that is suitable to grow the rice. And also you need the temperatures and moistures that are necessary to grow the rice. So when the cause and conditions, all of this comes together, then the rice will grow. Similarly, the wheat, and similarly all the other things also. Similarly, all the life that we have also is not just accidentally happening. It is all the feelings that we have, all the experiences that we encounter in everyday life. It is not just happening, but all has its own cause and its own conditions. And so he said, all of this, for example, like the families that we have, the present family, where one is born, we have not chosen this. We have not chosen to be born this particular family. We are born from the Buddhist point of view. Everything, all of this is caused, what we call the karma, which means actually the cause and the effect. And it's due to our own cause and crave that today we are born in this particular family. So likewise, that each and everything is with the cause and the conditions that appears, the life appears. And so he said that everything that is depending on the cause and the condition is impermanent, because it needs to depend on the cause and conditions. If any of the cause and condition is missing, then it will not appear. A very good example is like televisions. On the television screen, pictures to appear, you need many things. You need electricity, you need the machine, you need the wires, you need the antenna. When all these conditions are together, then the picture will appear. If any of the things is missing, even the tiny wire is missing, the big picture will not appear. Now this is the cause and condition. When the cause and conditions all together, then the things appear. So anything that is missing, it will not appear. So that means that anything that is with the cause and condition, depend on the cause and condition, is impermanent. On the television screen, the picture is appearing. If suddenly the light goes off, the power goes off, the picture will not appear. Suddenly the wire is broken, picture will not appear. So this is impermanent. Everything is changing because it needs to, as long as it needs to depend on the cause and condition, it is impermanent. So the impermanent, all the compound things are with 4 endings. It is said that with the 4 endings. What are the four endings? Four endings means end of gathering is separation. We gather, many people gather together. Like today. Today we have gathered here many people from many different parts. But the end of this is separation, that we all go different. At the end, we don't stay here for all the time, but we end of this meeting that everyone goes into to their own places. So the end of gathering is separation. We all separate. We all go to separately. Even in our life also, as I said, that the family, when we mean the family members, we think that it's kind of always together. Family members are all together. But we have not chosen to be born in this particular family, but due to our own deeds, our own karmas, that we are born in this particular family. And then we live together. We are gathering. We gathered. We have the father, mother, brothers, sisters, wives and children, husband and children, wife and children, and so on. So we all gather. But there's not a family that remains forever. One day, one passes away, another day, father passes away, mother passes away, then oneself passes away, the spouse passes away, the children pass away, and then it all is gone. So it's impermanent. So the end of gathering is separation. There's not gathered and then never separate. It's always the end of gathering, separation. And then the end of accumulation is exhaustion. No matter how much you gather, how much wealth or how much possessions or how much power that you gather, there's not one that gathers together all the time. After a while, it all loses and it all exhausts. For example, in the histories, there are great empires that owned almost whole world, but they did not remain. Today they don't remain. They all separate. After all, they loses and becomes small. It all finishes. So the end of accumulation is exhaustion. And then the end of height is to fall down, no matter how high you reach. For example, like ancient times, they are said to be like universal emperors that who rules the many continents. They are rulers, the emperors that who rules many continents. But they don't remain all the time ruling. Again, they fall down. Similarly, no matter how high positions that you own, that you get, it does not remain there forever. After a while, something happens, and then you again fall down. So the end of height is to fall down. And then the end of birth is the death. Anyone who is born in this world have to end with the death. There's nobody who is born but who did not die. There's not even the slightest doubt about that anyone. There are many great historian figures, many great spiritual practitioners, and many great statesmen, many great heroes. But today they are just history. They do not remain. So the end of the birth is death. So all compound things are like this. So therefore, the impermanent. The Buddha teaches the impermanent. And the impermanent has, so one of the wrong things, that we think that life is permanent. So that when the life is permanent, if the life is permanent, then it's necessary that we need the wealth, we need the power, we need the things, so that you can rule everyone. But if the life is impermanent, what is the use of having so much wealth? What is the use of having so much power? Because sooner or later you are going to lose. So when you lose, you face even more another suffering. When you get, you are happy, but when you lose, also you get the suffering. So better not have a strong attachment. So one of the main causes of the suffering is attachment. Because when we have a strong attachment, when you have a very strong attachment, then you get anger, because you think other people who have the power, who have the prosperity, who have the wealth, that you get angry. And those who have the others, you get jealousy. And so when you have the anger, jealousy, and attachment, one could never experience the peace. So the sufferings, the mental sufferings, the anxieties that we encounter in our everyday life, it is not caused from the outside. It is caused actually from our own negative emotions. The negative emotions then cause, if you don't have the anger, if you don't show anger, when you have the anger, the minute the anger arises within one's own mind, you could not experience the peace. And our faces become black, darker. Anger is actually associated with the dark color. And anger is then disturbs your own peace, and also it disturbs within your own family members, within your neighborhood, in a larger sense, in the whole area, in the whole world. The whole world, the problems that we face in today's world comes from our own anger. So when we realize this, and anger is the cause of all the suffering, it is difficult to us to control the anger straight away. But if we know that anger is the cause of all the sufferings, then at least we can feel, and we can do something to calm down. The minute you calm down your anger, your faces change, and you can experience peace. You can experience peace within your own family, within your neighborhood, within the whole area. So that many of the problems that we face, all the problems that we face are actually, we should not blame for outwardly, but we should try to see inwardly from where it comes. The person who do not have the anger cannot have the enemies. But the person who has the anger, of course, naturally have enemies. But enemies is just like the projection. It's like the reflection of outside enemies, actually the reflection of one's own anger. When you look at the mirror, your own image will appear in the mirror. Similarly, when you have the anger, due to your own inner anger, then it reflects and appear. The enemy will appear at the outside. And now if you try to destroy your enemy with your anger, then other side will also get angry. And then in this way it will increase. Even you destroy one enemy, there will be more enemies will arise. So instead of destroying the outside enemy, but if we sort of look into our own anger as an enemy, our own enemy that causes all the sufferings, is not at outside, but within our own mind. So if we try to see that, then at least, even you could not destroy it totally. It's difficult to destroy it totally because we've been associated with the anger for such a long period of time. And we have formed like habitual tendencies that builds up. We know very well, for example, like the bad behaviors, such as like drinking and smoking, etc., are harmful. Everyone knows the smoking is very harmful. But the person who is used to it, who have formed the bad habit, even though every packet has written that it's injurious to smoke, even though very clearly written, but the persons who are already in the habit of smoking, they could not give up. In spite of seeing these signs, they still have to smoke. So likewise, that we knew the anger is harmful. Even in this life also, I mean, when you have the anger, then you could not only that you could not experience peace and happiness, but also you loses your appetite, loses your sleep, it loses your the whole atmosphere. So it is harmful. And when your mind is disturbed, many of the physical disease that we suffer comes from being unhappy. When your mind is very unhappy, when you are in great tension, when you are in great anxiety, that causes many of the disease, such as like the blood pressure, and all of this caused from the mental tensions. Many doctors told me this. So therefore, it is very harmful. So there's something that is harmful, that we should not do it. So at least we should try to think about this, and it will help. So instead of showing the anger at the outside, if you saw the problems, the difficulties, circumstances that we face in our everyday life, not comes from the outside. It comes mainly from our own negative emotions, such as like the anger. And why we have the anger? Anger and attachment are like one coin for the different size, different face. Because when you have the attachment, strong attachment, then you get the anger. And so basically all of this, from the Buddhist point of view, there are three main negative emotions. And all of these negative emotions comes from basically the ignorance, not knowing the reality. Instead of seeing the truth that we being ignorance, and that we do not. From the ignorance arises the anger and desire or the attachment. And when you have these three, the anger, desire, and ignorance, then from there arises the pride and jealousy etc. Many other negative emotions. And when we have the negative emotions, then we take actions, physical actions, mental actions, verbal actions, and then due to these actions, then it creates a whole life, and then the result is that we all suffer. We physically, mentally, that we suffer all the time, constantly. So therefore, instead of blaming for the others, we have to look into our own negative emotions. So the enemy is not at the outside, enemy is within our own mind. Our own negative emotions are the cause of difficulties, the problems that we face. And so the Buddha said that everything is impermanent. When you think, and in this perception of impermanent is very important, because when we usually think that everything, life is permanent, we always plan that life is permanent forever, that we are going to live forever here, and we must have all the things, we must have possessions, we must have this, we must have that, we must have this, we must have power, and because of the attachment. And then when you lose, you get angry. And so the main problem is this attachment. But if you think of the impermanent, everything is one day that we are going to lose. Whether you have even a kingdom, also you are going to lose this. So then, why we have the strong attachment? Why we hold so much? Why we hold so tightly? Because sooner or later that we are going to lose. So this helps very much to relieve our tension and our anxiety. And then also, and this impermanent, there are two different kinds of impermanent. One is what we call the gradual, the gross gradual impermanent. That is that everything is changing. For example, our physical body is changing. From the baby becomes children, teenagers, then teenagers become young adult, and then you become middle-aged, and then you become old. And as you grow old, your body also changes. Colors of your hair changes, the skins of your body changes, your face changes, everything is changing. And this we see, the things that we see is called the gross, continual impermanent. Outwardly also the places are changing. Summertime we have a different color, then we have autumn time another color, the beautiful colors you have in the fall you have beautiful colors, and then winter time we have another kind of color, then again the spring and so on, that is changing. So everything is changing. And so the changes that we see is a gross impermanent. And this change, it is not that we don't change in overnight. For example, our color of our hair. Yesterday is black, and today suddenly didn't change to white. The changes occur actually all the time. So therefore, it is called the momentary, the subtle momentary changing. That means actually the change is constantly, every single moment, the shortest possible time that change is occurring. And when you see the colors change, your colors change, your skin color is changed, your hair color is changed, then it's already big changes already occurred. So to change to such color, it constantly changing. And so everything is changing, everything is impermanent. Everything is impermanent. So impermanent, to say the teaching of the impermanent is actually a very great help to think, because when you think of the impermanent, that you are going to lose, your color is going to change, your body is going to change, you are also not here forever, everything is going to change, then naturally it reduces the degree of your attachment. And when your attachment becomes lesser, then naturally also it becomes, the anger also becomes lesser. There's no point in fighting, there's no point quarreling, because sooner or later that we are going to lose, sooner or later that we are going to change, sooner or later that we are going to die. And so therefore, what is the point? So while we are here, while we are living, while we are today as a living being, that we must live everyone happily, everyone peacefully, everyone. To do that, you have to feel the other people's feeling also. When you think about yourself alone, when I think of one's own well-being, one's own happiness, one's own suffering, one's own things, then one could never achieve the real peace. As yourself wish to be free from suffering and longing for the happiness, every sentient being, every living being, every human being also is the same feeling, just as like yourself wish that every other being also has the same feeling. And so therefore, so instead of thinking yourself alone, we have to think of the others. As always, we feel that as yourself, with your own body as an example, your own body, you wish to be healthy, happy. All other beings also have the same feeling. So therefore, you have to think of the others also. Others also. So you think, when we think of actually self and others, actually others is more important, because self means just one person. When you think of others means countless beings. So the countless and one, countless being means much more important. So we have to think of the others, their well-beings, their happiness, their sufferings. And so in this way, like the impermanent and the sufferings that if we think carefully, then it helps to lessen our own difficulties, our own problems, our own sufferings. And then gradually, the ultimate aim is actually to achieve the everlasting peace and everlasting happiness. And so to do that, I always advise, of course, everyone wants the best of everything. I mean, even in the spiritual path, everyone wishes to follow the highest path and most advanced path, deepest path, most profound path. Of course, we want the best food, we want the best place, and we want the best life. But actually, to practice the highest path, are we really ready? If we are not really ready, even though you give in the highest path, but if one is not ready, then it is not. I mean, to ride on the most powerful horse, you need some strength. If you don't have the strength, and if you are giving the best horse, the most powerful horse, then it's going to be a problem. So therefore, I always advise, first of all, irrespective of whether you are Buddhist or non-Buddhist or whatever religion we follow, whatever philosophy we follow, the first thing that one must do is we have to be a good human being. A good human being, from being without becoming a good human being, how can you become a good spiritual practitioner? First, you have to become a good human being. And what is the good human being? In the ancient times, they have the different races, like the priest race, the royal race, and then the general race, and then the lower race, and so on. But the Buddha is actually the first, one can say, the revolutionary who made everyone equal. Buddha said there are no such thing as in your own bone, in your own thing, that high race and lower race. He said everyone is equal. The highest, who is the highest race? The one who is truthful and honest and leads the virtuous life is the highest race. It's not the family that you are born, but whoever does that is the highest race. And so therefore, it is very important to feel to this state, because Buddha said that everyone is equal. Everyone is equal. Because according to the Buddhist teachings, everyone has the Buddha nature. In a sense that if one follows, if one meets with the right method, if you meet with the right path, anyone can become a Buddha. Everyone has the opportunity. Not only the human beings, even the animals. Every living being has the Buddha nature. So that every living being can become a Buddha. So that is, of course, our very main goal, because everyone has the Buddha nature. Everyone has the hope that if we make efforts, that we can become Buddha. So that is our goal. So to reach that level, first you have to be a good human being. And the good human being means that one who not only on the selfish thoughts, if one is very selfish, then one cannot experience peace, one cannot experience happiness, and one could not be the good human being. Good human being means one who is truthful, honest, and also cares for the others. Just as like yourself wishes to achieve happiness, every living being also has the same goal. So instead of thinking one's own well-being, that we think of the others also. So with such thinkings help us to face the everyday difficulties. And so now to enter the spiritual path, it is very important for all of us to make first a good human being. And on the basis of becoming a good human being, then one can follow the spiritual path, whichever path that one thinks suitable for you, then one can follow that path, and with that path, then one can achieve whatever the one's goal is. So therefore, that I would like to now conclude this talk. And so that as a basis, next few days I will be performing here very high initiations. So especially those who are participants, that they should make a good thought. Instead of blaming for the others, that we must think of instead of thinking oneself alone, one's own well-being, we have to think about others. We have to think about all others, and with that, then one can achieve the peace and happiness. And so I wish all of you complete success in your everyday life as well as in your spiritual path. Thank you very much.